Hello everyone. The following webcast forms part of our Mental Health Matters series and shines a light on the immense pressure being faced by frontline travel agents during this crisis. As you will expect, some of the content is incredibly hard to watch, but our three agent speakers have all asked us to publish in the hope that it offers the support to others in similar situations and to highlight the plight of the industry to the government. Despite the devastation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen some incredible acts of kindness, solidarity and support from the industry we all love over the past 7 months. And we will continue to offer all of our readers, including our three panelists, the support, contacts and information you need to navigate this awful period. Please remember that if you or someone you know has been affected by a mental health issue and needs support, it is available from within and outside our industry. Our charity partner, ABTA Lifeline, offers a range of support services, including confidential counselling, and Advantage and the Association of Women Travel Executives recently created a support bubble for industry professionals. You can also find a range of mental health matters content on travelweekly.co.uk and find some great resources from the Mental Health Foundation at mentalhealth.org.uk/coronavirus. Now those links and contact details are all on the screen now, along with the phone number for the Samaritans, who can be reached free of charge on 116 123. Thank you. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our next webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And today I'm joined by three people right on the front line. They are all travel agents. So first of all, we've got Jenny Jackson, who is from Luxury Travel Gurus, and we've got Emma Kayne from Kayne Travel, and Matt Griffiths from Encore Travel. So welcome to all of you. I'm sure, you know, we're now 8 months in, aren't we, into this pandemic, into this crisis, and I can only imagine how hard it's been for you all. So I thought actually we would just go round first of all and just get an idea of your experiences and how the impact has affected you. So Jenny, you're at the top of my screen, so why don't we start with you and tell us how it's been.
Okay, well, the impact for me, I had life-saving brain surgery on the 22nd of December with a 30% chance of surviving. I was told to have 6 months off to recover. Of course, I'm still not able to have that 6 months off. I obviously tried to get my bookings underway January and February during peaks. And I thought, right, I'll relax in March, and then what happened? So it has been quite horrific for me. I mean, I had a bit of a setback in March where I was getting panic attacks and really bad headaches again, but there was no way I was going to go back into hospital. I kind of fought it off, and luckily enough, the majority of my clients have rebooked. I probably only had to refund 6 or 7 bookings, which is a bit of a lifesaver, but I have not put down a deposit on my Maserati yet because I don't know whether any of those bookings for 2021 will actually go. So it's been trying, I have to say.
Absolutely. Well, that's a pretty incredible story actually, and you were supposed to be resting, but as you say, this has been so prolific, hasn't it? There's been so much work for you to do, even though, you know, no one's getting new business, but you've obviously been having to deal with so much administration and giving money. But I know you say about to refund too many people, but that must have been an incredible strain. Emma, has it been similar for you in terms of, you know, not being able to have a moment's rest? You've just got to deal with all your, you know, you've got to still give customer service.
Absolutely. For me, we're a fairly new business. We opened our doors in December 2018. So we're just coming up to our 2-year anniversary, if you like. At the beginning of lockdown, I furloughed all my staff and I did everything on my own from home, as you can imagine, as most people did. Only to find out a few months ago that in actual fact my accountant hadn't filed my real-time information or final payment submissions. So it's come to the end of summer and I'm now £12,000 out of pocket on top of everything else because my accountant didn't do her job properly. I am, of course, doing everything I need to do in terms of an insurance claim and things like that, but I don't know yet if I'm going to be successful on that. My girls have been fantastic. They've come back to work, but of course now I've had to after paying them full time for working for sunbathing, all summer out of my own pocket. I've now had to completely reduce their hours, which they've been fantastic about because they understand the situation. But I'm now back to doing everything from home on my own again, and I'm just trying to actually put the shop into hibernation for the winter a little bit until we do have something realistic to sell and come out of quarantine.
What does that mean, Emma, putting a shop into hibernation? I mean, you're just like, obviously you're not going to have your staff working then, you're going to be at home, I guess, ticking things over, but you're not really, I mean, where will you get any income from, and do you have any other source of income in your family, or is it a real you talk about that extra £12,000, is it a real financial strain for you?
Absolutely. I'm very, very lucky that my husband has an income and he can look after me. However, it's not ideal because I've taken on the shop and everything, so we do treat it very separately. Shop wise, the girls who work for me are on minimum hours at the moment, so at the moment the shop is still open on reduced hours, but going forward we're just looking at all options where perhaps we can all work from home. I mean, the heating bill in the shop is going to be phenomenal if we have to work alone one by one in the shop. It's so cold in there that financially it will make sense to actually close the shop for winter and just keep it ticking over that way with us, the three of us working from home.
Yeah, every bill counts. We'll come back and pick up on some of those things. Let's bring Matt in. Matt, you're similar to Emma in a way that you started your own business quite recently, just before this whole thing hit.
Yeah, I mean, I left my job in retail at the start of the year. I'd had some mental health issues back end of last year into the beginning of this year, and chose the perfect time on the 20th of February to leave my job in retail and then start my own business. So I'm kind of similar to Emma, but whereas she's kind of had a year's worth of business, if you like, I'm trying to build mine.
Yeah,
trying to build a business at the moment is virtually impossible. So it got to the stage a few weeks ago when there was a rasp of cancellations came through. There was commissions that I was expecting to come through in, say, January time, that had been earmarked for bills and for what, you know, this money's going to go for this and this. All of a sudden that's gone. And what you just said a minute ago is entirely right. You just don't see where the next bit of income is going to come from to actually make sure that your bills get covered. Because I'm not eligible, because I started my business only this year, I'm not eligible for any of the grants or the self-employment scheme or anything like that. It's pretty desperate, to be fair.
And Matt, we had a conversation, didn't we, a little while ago? Because
yes.
I actually got quite concerned about you. You use social media and you posted some tweets, I think, which I just felt that you said the word desperate, and that's exactly how you came across. And so what did you do at that point?
I got pretty drunk, to be honest. Not handled it in the best way. I'm lucky, similar to Emma, in that my partner, my wife, works. However, it's not sustainable, and it's not fair on her to be supporting me as well. It's got to the stage recently where I've felt more and more like a bit of a burden to her, not just financially, but also stress-wise and worry-wise and all those kind of things. It's been very tough, very tough.
I'm sure it is, and I'm also sure she doesn't feel like that about you, Matt. But we'll come back to that. Jenny, you mentioned that, you know, in amongst all this work that you've been doing, you were suffering panic attacks, and obviously that, I think a lot of people have been feeling very stressed, and that is one of the ways it manifests. So perhaps talk to us about that, and how have you managed to overcome those feelings? And what's been has it been the financial concern, or has it just been the workload, or what's been driving them, do you think?
Of everything, really. I've had 2 strokes before, and I know that my health is not 100%. I know that I have to look after my health. I started getting panic attacks a few years ago, and the first time I had one, I thought I was dying. At least now I know how to control them. But the worst thing is I live alone, so I have no one to share how I'm feeling. There's no one to give me a hug when I'm having a bad day. There's no one to support me when I'm in tears because something's gone wrong. It's quite hard when you're on your own. And I think anyone in this industry at the moment, whether you're on your own or not, is finding it particularly difficult. And you just don't want to burden other people with your problems. And I know my sons keep saying, "If anything you want, anything you need," and I'm saying, "No, I'm fine. I'm too proud. I'm far too proud to ask for help," which is wrong, very wrong, I know.
And in that situation, Jenny, and for all of you, if we move on to the sort of support, then the support network, where or have you turned to anyone for support? People talk about if you can share your problems, and it's important to get talking about these things. Have you been able to talk to anyone, Jenny?
No, I haven't. What I have been doing locally, which actually has been really therapeutic, is I've been sort of like a helpline for some of the elderly. I can't believe it. I'm 67 myself, and some of these elderly people are younger than me, but I have a number of people that I ring just to check they're okay. Do they need anything? And it's really been a lifeline for me, because it's actually helping me as well, because I'm actually able to talk to people. And it's one of those situations where you feel that you don't want to ask for help because you don't want to burden yourself on other people. Everyone's got their own problems at the moment, and I know it's wrong, but if I can help other people, then I'm happy doing that.
Yeah, well, that's very admirable, Jenny. Well done. That's incredible. Emma, what about you in terms of support? I know you say you've got your husband, and I think you've got children, haven't you? But that's sometimes another pressure, isn't it? Because you've got the business on one side, but you've got to still be a mum and a wife and keep everything going at home. So what's the pressure been like for you?
It's absolutely desperate at the moment. I mean, I was quite lucky in that originally in my second year, we were due to actually turn over a small profit in our second year. It was really something that we'd tried hard to do. And in February, we were absolutely flying. Everything was positive. We booked, a local venue for a holiday show and things like. Everything was going really well. And then, of course, it all just got sucked. The bottom just got totally sucked out of it, and everything's gone. Everything that we built up. Of course, we've still got loyal customers who have rebooked for next year. But now it feels like it's coming back to the second wave, where we're having to start performing refunds again rather than rebooks, especially when it comes to cruising for Australia, for example. We don't even know if Australia is going to be open next year at all.
Yeah.
And so obviously these are big bookings, that we're talking about now, and we just can't see a way out of it at all. While ever there is quarantine in such force, and while these measures are in place, we just can't see a way out of it at all, which is why we're looking at possibly putting the shop into hibernation for winter, and potentially finding other jobs. But I think at the end of October, when the furlough is finished, then really the amount of shop closures or redundancies or even just applying for a job is going to be really difficult, because we're going to see such changes in November again, which is quite worrying for me. I am quite worried about that, I have to say. What lies ahead, even just for winter, because what profit we thought we were going to make, it was just a small profit in year 2, but absolutely not. I've now got enough debt to it's the equivalent of a small mortgage on another house. So who knows?
Just before we move on, you're based in Rotherham, aren't you? Are you affected by the announcement yesterday around the tighter restrictions? Does that have an impact at all, or was it?
It's not too bad, to be honest. We're tier 2, so
Okay.
For me, it would help me if we were classed as hospitality and we could have our shop closed, because then, of course, I'd get so much more help from the government. As it happens, I'm not entitled to anything. If I went with the new job retention scheme, then I have to pay more money for staff for less work. I just can't afford to do that. I just can't afford to do it. It's impossible. So unfortunately, my staff can't even take advantage of that. So who knows what we're going to do? We just have to kind of really keep our heads low until quarantine's lifted.
Okay, and that's the same then for your start. You got 2 people working for you, is that right?
Yeah.
So
one full-time, one part-time, who've gone down to bare minimum wages.
Right, and you're saying you can't really get them on the job support scheme because it's not financially viable.
It's just not financially viable at all.
Okay.
I've offered to work around them if they can get other jobs to support their own income. The best I can do is tell them what I can offer, and if I can support them in any other way by working hours around their other job or references, anything I can do to help their income, I will.
Oh, I'm sure you are. I mean, Emma just said there that she's considering taking maybe another job over the winter while she hibernates her shop. I know you were also considering that, weren't you? You were looking for a job, but it's like, as Emma said, it's a very busy market. It's very hard to find something, isn't it?
It is. I've probably applied since end of August. I probably applied for about 40 jobs.
Wow.
From everything really, even and this is no disrespect to those that normally do this job, but even doing like shopping picking in Asda and Tesco and stuff like that. And that because of my years in the industry and qualifications that I have, every single time it comes back that I'm overqualified, and people know that I'm not going to be wanting to do that long term. They know it's only a stopgap, so they're not willing to put someone into that position.
Yeah.
And that just makes it even worse. And Emma's exactly right that once I think the government said quite clearly that they were putting into law at the end of furlough that it would make it more difficult for companies to lay people off. I don't think that will stop them. It's going to happen on a large scale. They'll just find ways around it. So the already saturated job market, I think it was announced today we're up to 1.5 million unemployed in the country. That already saturated market is only going to get worse and deeper. And there used to be a bit of a saying that if you were old and you had experience, then you would always be able to find something, and that's just not true at the moment. It's not true.
Wow.
The thing that the things that really annoy me, and it's gone from being frustrated and upset and all of that. It's an anger, and it's almost a rage now. In that when you hear our politicians say things like they're throwing their arms around the entire country and no one's going to get left behind and all that, every single word of it is complete rubbish, because there are nearly 3 million people in this country who have done what the Tory government have said they want people to do, and they've been entrepreneurs and they've started their own business and they're trying to kickstart the small economy, and they've been left behind. That's exactly what's happened. They've been abandoned, and that's the feeling that I have when I wake up every single morning, is just the feeling of abandonment, and where do I go from here?
Which is just shocking and so hard to keep on and apply for that next job or just to keep going. Jenny, how do you feel towards the government, or in terms of if we talk for a little bit now about what we would like to have seen in terms of support for our industry, how do you feel?
Well, personally, I feel that yes, we have been totally abandoned, and what hurts me more than anything is the fact that we've never had, no one's mentioned how hard we've worked. No one's actually listened and heard that the majority of us have worked for all these months now for absolutely nothing. Yet we're still referred to as the bad guys. I do not know what we have done wrong. I really don't. I cannot understand why we're constantly being disregarded. And I honestly feel a huge weight would come off so many travel agents or operators or anyone within the industry. A huge weight would come off our shoulders if somebody actually turned around and said, let me just say, well done to the travel industry. They've done a magnificent job. They've worked really hard, blah, blah, blah. All, the usual things. No one, not one person stood up there given us what we deserve and pulled out the work we've done, and that's heartbreaking. And I honestly think that's what we need. We want someone to say something very positive about us.
Yeah, and why you say we're always thought of as the bad guys? Do you think that just outbound travel then is viewed as a, you know, not a necessity, even though we're talking here about mental health, but, you know, going on holiday and resetting and relaxing is absolutely crucial. We all know in travel, don't we, for sort of people's well-being. But why do you say that we're the bad guys? Do you think they just don't consider our industry to be a really crucial necessity?
I think too many people now are doing DIY, their own holidays. They can book their own holiday. I'm from London, and people tend to want to do their own thing. I think probably in the smaller areas, people still go to the travel agents, but in London it's really tough. And my philosophy is, as an industry, you know, we've been there for years, for decades. We've offered a fantastic service. Now suddenly, as if we're redundant, and unfortunately, our consumer. Sorry, you have to excuse me. Having had brain surgery, my words sometimes don't come out flow. People like Martin Lewis and Simon Calder, right at the beginning of this pandemic, not help us at all. You know, we didn't need the general public being told that you get your money back in 14 days. It was really, really tough on us. We couldn't get hold of tour operators to sort out bookings. It was so hard, and yet not one person stood up for us and said, these guys have actually worked their socks off, and somebody gives them some recognition.
And that would, well, and then the support behind that. I mean, the recognition, absolutely, but then some support to help you guys through this. Emma, what's your feeling towards, you know, what would you like to see for the travel industry that would help you get through?
Well, basically, for me, in my circumstances, I live my shop's in a very small village, and unlike Jenny and her experience in London, my customers do come to see us face to face. They do want our assistance. They do want us to help us with their bookings. They want to make their bookings with us to be financially protected, to have the advice, the face-to-face interaction. But at the moment, because we have quarantine for the majority of the world, we have nothing to sell. So imminent departures are very few and far between. And if we go into the shop, because there's nothing to sell, then we're just not making money. So for me, it would help if we could be classed as a sector that can be closed, like hospitality. I understand hospitality has been really hard hit at the moment, but they still do have something to sell, even if it's till 10 o'clock. We don't have anything at the moment because, quite frankly, I've scrutinised my figures, and even the bookings for next year, people now are actually holding on to their money and don't even want to make bookings for next year because it's so uncertain at the moment. The customer confidence is absolutely at an all-time low. So even if we went into the shops with a view for selling holidays for next year, we can do the quotes, but we're not going to close that sale because people don't want to book right now.
And I bet they were probably looking.
I've got line like this.
Yeah.
And I just think it would help us if they could actually close down my shop for winter and let me have the same entitlements as what the hospitality trade is at the moment.
Whilst they're working on, you know, reducing the quarantine times or improving the testing, so that you can a little bit of a respite, a breather to get you through. Yeah, absolutely. Just come back to you a minute, Jenny, because you do run the Travel Agent Rants and Raves site, don't you? So I know you're talking to other agents. We've got 3 of you on here with really heartbreaking stories, but you're not the only ones, are you? You're talking, Jenny, to people all the time who are in similar situations, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a total open door policy. If anybody wants to contact me, just private message me and I will call them back if they want to have a chat, because I can't help anybody, you know. I can't, how would you put it? I can be there for them, and sometimes, as again, it's like the little bit of part-time work I do, sort of looking after the elderly. It's quite therapeutic for me because I can come off that call and I kind of feel like together we've achieved something. We've got over another hurdle. But no, it's definitely an open door policy, and a lot of people contact me, and as soon as they message me, I'll say, "Would you like me to call you?" And 9 times out of the 10 they say, "Yes, please," and we have a chat. And we can talk about things, about family, anything really, just to keep ourselves away from the real heartbreak that we're going through.
Yeah.
And I haven't, in fact, we made a decision, the admin made a decision a few weeks ago not to accept anybody else into the group for the time being, because a lot of people that have lost their jobs, we feel that we want to keep them in the group, because they know some of these people have never ever worked in any other industry apart from the travel industry, and it's such a shock to them, and we kind of feel that we can support them and embrace them as well, which is a nice thing to do. So we're not taking anybody else into the group for the moment, because we just want to concentrate on our current members.
All right, but interesting that you're getting so many calls, and that, and that people needing that support. So Matt, in terms of your next steps, I mean, I know you're trying to get alternative work. What's happening with your business? Are you're still ticking that over? It's you and another, you've got a business partner, haven't you?
I do, yeah. The lady that I work with set the business up 5 years ago, so I invested to come on board with her this year, and she's been pretty successful over the last 5 years. It's difficult because, like Emma said, we've got really nothing to sell, so it's difficult to know what to promote. We're obviously based at home, so it's all social media driven. I've got no shop window or anything like that.
Yeah,
it's difficult to know what to promote. Because on pretty much every post that I've done over the last couple of months, there's been at least 1 or 2 interaction of people saying, "What are you even doing? People are dying. Why are you saying we should go on holiday?" and this kind of stuff. So it's difficult to strike that balance. It's easy enough for us at home, I think, that we can run it in the background if we can do something else, because there isn't the call for it to be monitored 24 hours a day. It's just there isn't the option to do something else at the moment. So the outlook isn't great, I've got to say.
And have you reached out to anyone, Matt, to talk to them or to help? I mean, I know you're all part of a consortium. I know you're different consortiums, but what
Yeah, I had not professionally in that respect, but I had a series of sessions with a therapist earlier on in the year that worked to a degree, but with how bad things have got over the last few months, I think even earlier on when we were in lockdown, I think we all had a bit of we could see a light at the end of the tunnel. We had an idea or we had a thought or a hope that, October, November, December time, things might start to open up and we can at least have a winter season, and that might bring in some money towards the end of the year. And that's been blown away completely. Yes, I've had some assistance and I've had some help with someone to talk to, but it's not enough. You asked Emma and Jenny what they would like to see. I'm going to be really, really selfish, and I want a nice big check through my door, because at the moment that's the only thing that's going to keep me going.
Yeah. So yours is entirely financial concerns, and I know you've been struggling with sleep, haven't you, Matt? It's been and I don't know whether you did it previously anyway, but you were telling me that literally you're getting a couple of hours, if that, on some nights.
I'm averaging about 2 or 3 hours a night. Yeah.
Snap. Me the same. Yeah.
I mean, and that's just not sustainable. And that's your financial worries, is it? That's just keeping you awake and not knowing where the next bit of money
is. And then it transfers from that. So it's yes, it's financial. It's can I make a success of the business? And then it transfers to the personal feelings, as I said, about putting that strain then on my wife and being a burden financially on her and the house, and it did. I have to, I don't like saying it, but it got to the stage last week where I told her she would be better off if I wasn't around, and that's tough to even repeat, it was even harder for me to say outright. And you're right, she did say that's a load of rubbish, but it's not sustainable.
I think we also have to remember, I really do think we do have to remember, this is not our fault.
Exactly.
And my husband, I suppose he's my counsellor a little bit, because he's the person I talk to, you know, and he can see how this affects me. I've also had panic attacks, and Jenny, I can't imagine how your panic attacks are when you're alone, because you feel like you're dying, quite frankly. And my husband has said to me time and time again, and the end result is, this is not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, Matt, I really am, but it really isn't your fault. And we all have to try and stick together somehow, I think, and just fight as best we can to get through it, just as much as we can. We will get through this. We will get through. How we come through it, I don't know, but we will get through it one way or another.
We are fighters. We are fighters in this industry. You know, we really are. And I think that's comes across that, you know, no matter what's thrown at us, we'll pick ourselves back up again. And funny enough, I found something from a year ago, Lucy. I found something popped up on my personal Facebook page. I'm going to send it to you because it is so true. I posted it on my personal Facebook page and Travel Agent Rants and Raves. It's actually, I'm going to send it to you because it is so true, because it's got, people see above is all the good things, but they don't see all the bad things below. And I'm thinking, it was a year ago. We had no idea we would be going through this now. So,
well, do send it. And you know, Matt, Emma is absolutely spot on, and I think we've all got to remember that this just came out of nowhere, and actually to have got this far, you don't want to give up now, Matt, because you've got this far. You know, we've done 8 months of this. You know, all of you, you know, it's so admirable, the work that you've been doing with no income. It's been tough for so many people. And, you know, as I said, you know, you're representative of so many hundreds of agents who've done a very similar job and, you know, kept their customers informed and sorted out all those difficult refunds and rebookings and things. So, you know, and I do hope it will get better for you all. And I'm just so grateful that you've felt it possible to share your experiences today. And I hope in some way, just by talking about it, because people do say that, you know, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I hope that by sharing your problems, you know, it has helped you. And I know absolutely it will help other people, because we get loads of comments whenever we put these webcasts out that people feel a little bit less alone if they hear what other people are going through and they know that they're not the only ones. So we'll leave it there. We wish you all the best, and we're always here for you as well. So thank you very much to you, Jenny, and to you, Emma, and to you, Matt.
Thank you. And you stay safe, Emma and Matt, as well. Stay safe.
Please remember that if you or someone you know has been affected by a mental health issue and needs support, it is available from within and outside our industry. Our charity partner, ABTA Lifeline, offers a range of support services, including confidential counselling. And Advantage and the Association of Women Travel Executives recently created a support bubble for industry professionals. You can also find a range of mental health matters content on travelweekly.co.uk and find some great resources from the Mental Health Foundation at mentalhealth.org.uk/coronavirus. Now, those links and contact details are all on the screen now, along with the phone number for the Samaritans, who can be reached free of charge on 116 123. Thank you.